Hey, this is Andrew from Ask Andrew. Today I'm going to be talking about cadences. What are cadences? Well, in language we have punctuation, full stops, commas. In music we have cadences. So in a sentence you'll have your commas and full stops. In a musical phrase you'll have a variety of cadences. That's the best analogy I can think of how to describe what cadences are. Cadences are first introduced at grade 3 theory level, grade 3 musicianship level. The first cadence that we learn how to write is a perfect cadence, and today I'm going to take you through how you might approach writing a perfect cadence for the first time. There are two ways we get taught how to write cadences. One is in 4-part vocal style, the other is in pianoforte style. I'm going to look at 4-part vocal style today. Now when I say 4-part vocal style, what I mean is that we're actually conceiving of writing this cadence in 4 voices. So even though 4 voices might not actually be singing the cadence, we have to think about voicing. So when we're writing this cadence, it's very important that we know the vocal ranges of the various voice types. Those of you who've sung in choirs will know that there's usually 4 voice types if we're talking about male and female voices. So the highest voice that we have is the soprano voice, which is here. The range, when we're talking about ranges, we're talking about the range of the average soprano voice. So even though you'll look at this and think middle C to G up there, some of you might think, but I'm a soprano, I can sing a lot higher than that. We're talking about the average singing voice, so it's best not to go above a G. The next one down, the lowest female voice, is the alto voice, and that's this one here, G below the stave to the C above middle C. It's good not to go either below or above those notes. The highest male voice in 4-part vocal style is the tenor voice. That's this one here. The range, the way I think of it is the range is exactly an octave below the soprano. So it's from C to G. And then the lowest male voice is the bass voice. That's this one here, F below the stave to middle C. Try to stick to those ranges when you're writing cadences. Remember that we are thinking in terms of voices and voicing. We're not actually talking about a chord you can play on the piano with a super low note here and a super high note here. We actually have to think about voices and voicing here. That's very important. Okay, so I'm going to write a perfect cadence in D major. So I've got the key signature set up here. You'll note that we have 2 staves when we write a cadence. The 2 male voices go on the bass stave here. The 2 female voices go on the treble stave here. Let's have a look at this. So to write a perfect cadence, we need 2 chords. We need chord 5 and we need chord 1. It's chord 5 going to chord 1. I'm going to put down underneath the stave the 2 Roman numerals that denote those 2 chords. So chord 5 is just a V, chord 1 is just like that. Now, in our syllabus we don't actually specify that you have to put Roman numerals below your cadences. It's just what I've always done, so I just automatically do it. It is very helpful, particularly in the higher grades, to know how to use Roman numerals. Chord 5 to chord 1. So, what are the notes in chord 5? If we're in D major, that'll be A, C sharp, and E. So let's put those maybe up here. A, C sharp, E. But we've got a 4th voice because we have to write for 4 voices. We're going to have to double a note, aren't we? What note do we double? Well, the strongest note to double is always the tonic. So let's double the A. You can double other notes, it's just that when you double the tonic, that gives you the most solid effect when you hear the chord. So let's do that. Let's do the same thing for chord 1 as well. So chord 1, we're going to need D, F sharp, A, and let's double the tonic again, D. Next step, put the bass in. Now, when we're putting in the bass line, stick to within this range. Don't go too low, don't go too high. Let's see, why don't we put the A, let's say here. I'm just using semi-breves. And the D, let's put that here. Okay? You can already see the bass is going up. It's a perfect fourth, A to D. That sets the whole thing in motion. Now, where are we going to put the other voices? Well, if we look at this list of notes here, we need to put in a C sharp, an E, and an A. There's no cut and dried rules about where you put the notes. The only thing you need to observe is balance. You need to make sure that when you write this chord in 4 voices, that the spacing is balanced, that you don't have any wide gaps between the voices. So, let's just choose a spacing that we think looks good. Let's put the A in the tenor, that's the other A, maybe cross them off as you go. Okay, A and A, so we've got a C sharp and an E left. Well, why don't we put the E there, and we'll put the C sharp up there. That spacing is absolutely common in 4-part vocal style, so get used to it. Let's look at how the notes are all spaced out in relation to each other. So A to A is an octave, A to E is a fifth, E to C sharp is a sixth. So the spacing there is very balanced. It's very standard, as I said before. Okay, so going to chord 1, let's have a look. Cross off the D. So we have to accommodate a D, an F sharp, and an A. What you now need to do is try and work out the smoothest path from one note to the next. This is crucial. When we're writing cadences, we're not writing chords that you just go splat splat on the piano. We're actually writing chords that have to lead very smoothly from one to the next. So what we do, it's almost like a process of minimization, I would say. What you do is you just take each note in turn and you look back at what notes are remaining and you try and work out the smoothest path, the smallest path from one note to the next. So for example, if I choose that A there, I look at the remaining 3 notes because we've already covered the bass. I look at these 3 notes and go, which one moves most smoothly to that A? And the answer is that one because it's already an A. So let's make it the same, okay? Do you get what I mean about this process of minimization? It's making the parts move as smoothly as you can. So the F sharp, let's cross that off. Which one of these 2 notes remaining moves most smoothly to the F sharp? And you'll see that it's the E on the bottom here. So there's the F sharp, we've crossed it off. And there's just one left, which is the D, and you'll see the C sharp there rises up to the D. So when we've got the movement of chord 5 to chord 1, there are a couple of little tricks that you'll see when you start to write more examples of perfect cadences, and that is that the bass does what it does, one voice will stay the same, the remaining 2 voices will move up by step, and they do, E to F sharp, C to D. It's also very important when you're writing a perfect cadence, 5 to 1, that where you find the leading note in chord 5, which is the C sharp here, it should rise to the D, and it does. That's important, but if you use this process of minimizing the part movement, your leading note will rise and you won't run into any other problems. When you start to get creative and write big jumps in your cadences, you're asking for trouble. So just do this process, cross the notes off, consider one in each in turn, and you'll be absolutely fine. Good luck.